CQ, 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 calling CQ, the 160-meter old friends net. We meet here every night at 8 p.m. on 1864, and we use only the amplitude modulation mode of transmission. Everybody and anybody is welcome to check in. This is N4LQ, listening for check-ins.
KN4R.
K4QE.
Okay, got two check-ins, KN4R, K4QE. Anybody else?
WF2U, Whiskey Foxtrot 2 uniform.
Hello, Mayor, WF2U, N4LQ. Anybody else?
WB4NKL.
Howdy, Cliff. WB4NKL, N4LQ. Sounding good. Anybody else tonight? Well, okay. I've got the AF67 on right now with the amplifier. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm just running about 280 or so. I'm going to switch over to the Valiant here in a minute and get a report from you and see if you can ascertain any difference. I'll use the same mic. Anyway, been a good day. Had a visit from KO4 Jim up in Climax. I have a hard time remembering his call. And he picked up the Viking 1, and he's got it. We got it all tuned up and went through a demonstration and a check and everything, and he's happy to get it, and I'm sure he's going to sound a lot better now. That's a good transmitter. Matter of fact, it puts out just about as much power as this Valiant on at least on 75 meters. And let's see. Also, Gary came and got his ICO, and I'm still working on this Night Kit T150, and I ordered some capacitors, and they'll be here Monday, supposedly, probably about midnight. Amazon's been getting here pretty late lately, after dark actually. They have to come over here, and the last guy walked across the front yard with a flashlight for some reason. I guess he couldn't find the driveway. Anyhow, we got KN4R, K4QE, WF2U, WB4NKL. Listen one more time for check-ins. Go ahead.
W4JPL.
Hello, John. Very good. Good to hear you. And you'll come after Cliff. Anybody else? All right. Well, the band's in good shape. I got my lower sideband cut off, so I'm not hearing the AM guide except for just a little bit of spill over there. So go ahead, Brian. KN4R, N4LQ.
Okay, Steve and the group, good evening. N4LQ and the group, KN4R. Very good. Hello, Steve and Tony and Mir and Cliff and John. Everybody's sounding really good. This is Brian over in Cheryl's Ford, and with me is Larry, Whiskey 3 Lima Whiskey, W3LW. So he'll staying until Monday morning, and then he's heading on down to Georgia. So anyway, just been cleaning up the shack and doing a lot of things. Waiting for Larry to get here. There was some other things I did this morning, but I can't remember what they were. nothing significant, I guess. But anyway, we're glad to be here, and I'll let Larry talk on the next go-around. So, K4QE in the group, KN4R.
All right. Good evening to Steve, Brian, Larry, Mayor, Cliff, and John. Good to hear you all tonight. And I slept in late this morning, real late. It was a long week, so I thought I deserved it. Plus, I have to get up early tomorrow because I'm meeting the president of the astronomy club that I'm in. I'm meeting him for coffee tomorrow to discuss some things that I volunteered to do. So we'll see how that goes. But not much else going on. The kids wanted me to take them out to dinner tonight, or I should say pick up Jersey Mike's is more like it. So they came with me, and we picked up a bunch of subs for my wife and my kids and, of course, myself. So everybody ate well tonight. There's plenty of leftovers, and that'll make for another meal. So there you go. Over to you, Mayor. WF2U in a group from K4QE.
Roger, K4QE and the net. This is WF2U. Good evening, everybody. Steve, Tony, of course, Brian, KN4R, and Larry at W3LW at Brian, and Cliff and John. Signals are fairly good tonight, and I can copy everybody fine. As usual, as of late, I'm using the GRC-19 and the system receiver, the R392, as probably you all know already. Doesn't have an S meter, it's just dB carrier level. So I can give a dB over the noise level reports. So anyway, as long as I can hear, it's good. And as long as the noise is not stronger than the signal, it's a good signal as far as I'm concerned. So everybody's just fine. And I didn't do much. Actually, I didn't do any radio stuff today. I had to do some stuff for the XYL, and so I had a little time just to relax until feeding time came for the dog, and then I came out here just about 10 minutes ago. So that's the story here. Cliff, go ahead. WB4NKL, this is WF2U.
Yeah, WF2U, it's WB4NKL. Okay, Mayor, good copy on you tonight. Better than the last 2 or 3 nights. The conditions are a little better because I think you're running the same setup. Had a good day here. Been nice weather, sun shining. Got another 3-mile walk in, and had some visitors. Had AE4AI, I think it's called. Bob out of Athens, Georgia. He came up and picked up the little Challenger, and then Dave and Irvina, WA4LLR, they came over. I'd been working on some stuff for Dave. He picked it up. So hello to Larry. Good to hear you, and guess we'll get a chance to talk to you on the next go around. So go ahead, John. W4JPL, it's WB4NKL.
Okay, WB4NKL in the group, W4JPL. Well, good evening to everyone, one and all. It's 39 degrees here. It's a pretty good day, a little cold. It was pandemonium here today. Had Maggie's son and my whole family here, and 3 grandkids running around screaming, and craziness reigned supreme. So, and I was doing a little projects around the house with my sons helping me, and I found out exactly how many muscles I have in my body, because every one of them hurts, that's for sure. So, that's what's going on here. And, Steve, it's a shame I didn't know Jim was going to come down and meet you, because he's probably less than 4 or 5 miles from me, Jim, and I could have handed him off that transmitter for you, but didn't know, and I guess you didn't think about it. Over to you, Steve, W4 JPL.
Well, fiddlesticks. I didn't even realize you were that. I knew you were fairly close, but oh well. I guess I've got enough to do here anyway. This is N4LQ, the old friends net. Do we have any additional check-ins? Come now.
Yep, K3OS.
Yeah, K3OS. Gary, up there in Hickory. Go ahead and make a transmission, then turn her back to me.
All right. Want to see why loading changed. All right. Get her a little bit there. Well, who knows? Oh, really? Well, loading's going all over the place. Why is that? What's the watt meter say? Well, I'm down to 30 watts. I don't know. I'll figure it out here as we go along. Grid drive looks okay. A little more, actually. Okay. So, evening, everybody. Yeah, I was down at Steve's. He figured out what was wrong with my ICO 720, so I'm going to work on that tomorrow and see if I can't get the modulator up and running, and then we'll get that puppy on the air. Unfortunately, it will not work 160. And I'm running the LMAC. I'm running it barefoot here. But it was producing a little bit more power here earlier, so I don't know, something's going on here. I'll have to figure that out. Anyway, Steve, go ahead, pick it up and tell me where I am in the rotation.
Tell you what?
Tell me where I am in the rotation.
Oh, where you are is at the very end. You'll come after, well, you're going to come after John, JPL, and then back to me. So, let's see, I'll give you a list here of who's here. Me, and then Brian, KN4R, K4QE, WF2U, WB4NKL, W4JPL, and K3OS, with Larry, W3LW, waiting in the wings here. But I'm going to run a quick test here. I got to turn off the amplifier, flip the rig switch over here to put it in line, plug in the microphone to the Valiant, and then I'll be ready to go. I think the whole process will take less than 10 seconds. Okay, and hello, radio. Okay, there we go. So now I am on the Valiant, running considerably less power. I'm down to about 112 watts versus 250 or so. But thought I would check and see what the modulation sounds like, and I'm just a little bit low in the frequency. Let me move up there, and there we go. Okay, so I just thought I'd give the Valiant a little bit of exercise and be sure everything's still working. It's my backup rig. Personally, I really prefer running the LMAC, but one thing is I can get more power by using the amplifier. So of course, the AF67, as far as I know, is the only LMAC that would transmit on 160. The A54 was their first transmitter, and it just did 75, 20, and 15 and 10, I believe. It skipped 40 for some reason, and you had to do a modification to make it work on 40. For some reason, they didn't think it needed 40. And then the 67 came out, and it covered 160, 80, 40, 20, 15, and 10. And then the AF68 came out, and it covered 80 and left out 160 and then added 6 meters. So they were all over the map, and I guess there was a point in time there where just about everybody, including Collins, Dre, and Heathkit, dropped 160, unfortunately. So anyway, I'm soliciting reports. Let me know what you think. KN4R and W3LW, N4LQ.
Okay, Steve. N4LQ in the group, KN4R. Very good. Well, I think it sounds pretty good. I don't think it has a lot of highs, but it's not real bass either. So I don't know. Here, I'm gonna pass the mic to Larry, and Larry, you can turn it over to K4QE when you're finished.
I'm on my regular round just to check the intrusion and relative for the version. It's good. I'm here with KN4R. Good to hear everything over there. And that, got a whole lot of what I've been also one thing to the place of time with my own doing. I'm very doing that. Yeah, that's
how does Steve Valiant sound to you?
Oh, I think it sounds excellent. You asked about the Valiant. I was going to make a comment about the business here. The various items we I'm not outside by two groups, but I've got some pretty good hearing. Good to hear everybody on here, and we'll keep the stuff going. Can you over here? Can you force that cue?
I think he turned it over to you, Tony. I could hardly hear the audio from Larry. I heard a little bit of it, but it was really low, like he was 10 feet away from the mic type sound. Go ahead, Tony, K4QE.
Yeah, I was on the wrong mic. Sorry, KN4R.
Okay, very good. Did you want to make the transmission over again, Brian and Larry?
Sure, go ahead. Well, I don't have a whole lot to say, but here, I'll let Larry comment again. I messed him up here.
Yeah, it's a case of when you look at it, you realize that the level's running up. But the comments I made is about making my trip around for Hamcation and my relatives down in Florida and Georgia. And I think this Valiant sounds really, really good that you got on the air. I was going to comment something while we were listening, but I think it sounds quite good. I have reasonably good hearing yet for my age yet. I can hear to over 8,000 hertz on both ears, and that makes it. I think I'm very, very lucky in that regard, and good sensitivity on that. So that's it. This is a good time to be back on the low bands, and I'm promised I'm going to be getting this coil system back up. The antenna I use is up all the time on 40, and I've got a lot of stuff on the higher bands as well. I'm sort of a crazy nut with all that sort of stuff. So that's about all from here, and I'm going to send it over to K4QE. K4QE. We tried to read the text here. This is W3LW/4.
Okay, Larry, real good. We're glad to have you with us tonight, and real good. Hope you're enjoying your visit. All right. Steve, the Valiant sounds okay. It doesn't sound as good as the LMAC. It's a little, well, I shouldn't say it doesn't sound as good. That's not exactly what I meant. It sounds just fine. The LMAC is just a little crisper on the high end. So to my ear, it's more pleasant to listen to. But there is absolutely nothing wrong with the Valiant's audio. It sounds great. And as you pointed out, the carrier strength is, of course, a little less, but still quite copyable here. Still a strong F9, so no problem at all. So I'll pass it on over to Mayor, WF2U from K4QE.
Roger, K4QE on the net. This is WF2U. Tony, you took a little dip in QSB towards the end, but I still copied you. Now as to your test, Steve, on the carrier level meter of the R392 divisions every 10 dB. In between probably the needles with. To reach 3 dB or something is just about not practical. But just by listening to it, it seemed just like maybe the noise went slightly up. You had the same readability and the same perceived signal strength, because after all, about 3 to 4 dB with a relatively strong signal doesn't make any difference. As long as the 3 dB doesn't take you down, there is more than that separation. You were at least 20-25 average, sometimes more with the QSB from the noise, so it's very hard to tell as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, and from here, actually the carrier is exactly 100 watts out of the T195/GRC19. So what else? Okay. With that, it goes to Kip again. You have a pretty good signal. John is a little bit weaker than you, and Gary is about the same signal strength as John. So WB4NKL, this is WF2U.
And WF2U is WB4NKL. Okay, Mayor. Steve, the volume, I could tell the signal was a little lower, but the audio quality was right up there with the other rig. Sounds good here. So, but just a little less carrier power, and I've had a little more interference from the out west broadcaster. He wasn't bothering much before. On this go around, he was coming in a little better. And got a phone call I've got to return, so I may or may not be back. It depends on how long this phone call lasts. So, and Larry and Brian sounded good the second go around. Didn't get much of the first go around, but the second, it's back up to speed. So go ahead, John. W4JPL, WB4NKL.
Okie doke. WB4NKL in the group W4JPL. Well, fine business, and hello to Larry. Well, like I said, today was a really crazy, busy day with the grandkids, but it's always a fun time when I got the little kiddies around, so I can wind them all up and send them off with their parents. That's a good thing. It was the weather wasn't bad today. It was cool this morning, but it warmed up enough where it wasn't miserable out. And yesterday was just fabulous, the weather outside. So I've been spending a lot of time outside doing a couple projects. So busy, busy, busy. Over to you, Gary, K3OS, and the group, W4JPL.
All right, John. Good to you. Hang on. Peek things around here. Hold on. Oh, that doesn't look right. Oh, for a little neutralization on these things. Anyway, W4JPL and the group, K3OS. Yeah, about 40 watts there. All right. God forbid the peak and the dip should occur in the same spot on the LMAC. I was noticing the receiver is, I'm hearing everything from FT8 all the way up. I don't know that I ever aligned the 160 band, but wow, Well, but the secret I just figured out was just to back down on the RF gain control a bit, and that brings things into better view. But holy smoke, is it broad? I'm just running barefoot, guys, tonight. I don't have the ability to put the LMAC on their amplifier yet. And if I do, I'll only a little bit more than double the power. That's a project that's coming. I'll get there. But I'm sitting here, and I know all you guys do this too. But I'm sitting here looking. I say, well, I've got this rig. It's up on 160, and then I've got the Gonset twins, or they're set for 80 meters. So instead of span switching, you rig switch. Over to you, Steve. And 4LQK308. By the way, both rigs sound good. The LMAC's a little either crisper or it's distorting more, but whatever. They're both fine. Go ahead.
I like that. It's either crisper or distorting more, which equates crispness to distortion. I don't know. I agree, though. Listening to it here on my other receiver, it does seem like the LMAC has a bit more highs, and actually the Valiant has more bass. Same mic, so figure that out. I don't know. I can't imagine why the Valiant is missing some bass, but some treble. I mean, I'm going to have to look at that and see. But there's a buku list of mods you can make on these things. I'm not going to worry too much about it, though. I never did feel like I was getting as much power out of it as I should. Anyway, I'm back on the AF67 now. This is N4LQ. Got anybody else out there that would like to check in? Listening very carefully, but didn't hear anything. All right. Well, I got to say that I'm not surprised that you're using a PMR7, I guess, as the receiver, Gary. Is that affirmative?
That's affirmative.
Okay, well, I'm surprised that you can hear anything. I guess turning the RF gain down helps. I've got mine sitting here, as you may have noticed today, and I did use it a few times. Me and that squelch and the RF gain just don't get along. It seems like you have to play with the squelch control. If I turn it off, of course, that apparently kills the AVC. I think that's the way it's supposed to be, although the manual is very vague about that. And then if you turn the squelch on, I think it kicks in the AVC, and then as you turn it up, the squelch becomes active. But let me know if I've got that all turned around, because it seems like, I guess that's the only way it could be. You turn the squelch off, it turns off the AVC, and then the RF gain is necessary to adjust. So that's the way it seems to work. But the squelch to me seems kind of unstable, and I was always fiddling with it. And I know you changed a capacitor that you said helped it, so maybe you can tell me about that on the way back. And the peak and the dip, yeah, that, I don't think I've ever had a transmitter to where the exact peak power occurred at exactly the deepest dip. There seems like there's always a little bit more you can get out of it by being off dip just a little bit. And I know the theory is that it's not neutralized, but I wonder if that's all there is to it. And I don't recall that if the AF67 has any facilities for that anyway. This T150 has two 6146s in the final, and there is a piece of wire that comes up and loops part way around each of the tubes to form sort of like an antenna or a capacitor to pick up RF from around the envelope of the tube. And of course they're very flexible, just pieces of wire. So that's all there is to that. So apparently it's either it needs to be neutralized more than the LMAC or something, but the Valiant, it's got an actual variable capacitor for that, and I tried my best to get that set right. That's not easy. And Cliff, you mentioned the Challenger. I think you meant Navigator that you sold to AE4EI, so I hope that works out for him. And John, good on being busy. And thanks for the report, Mir, on the audio and the S-meter reading. You took kind of a dive there, and for a little while it got kind of hard to hear, but I think you could see very little difference on that dB meter, which is kind of small on that rig. I think it's even smaller than the R390. I don't think it's the same meter, is it? I think it's smaller. And Tony, real fine on Jersey mics. Yeah, I haven't tried that. We've got one here, I believe, uptown in downtown Shelby. I need to try one of those sometimes. But we've been getting Firehouse subs, and of course they're in cahoots with the fire department or something. They're always seeking donations for fire department related things, and you can have it deducted from or added to your bill if you want to. So, and Larry, I got that last transmission was just fine. I don't know how Brian got the wrong mic, but it sure makes a difference, I'll tell you that. And I hope you have a good time at Hamcation down there. I know Cliff is going to be down there, and of course Brian's going to be there too. And I forgot, Brian, are you and your XYL going together, or are you just going down there by yourself? Well, I lost track of that. KN4R, N4LQ.
N4LQ in the group, KN4R. Well, it's a manly man trip. So wife is staying here with the dog, and she gets to go to her trips with her friends to Mexico and all that. So I get to go to Hamcation and maybe Xenia. You never know. So, yeah, very good. Well, what I was doing this morning is coming back to me. We dealt with some grandkids this morning, and also we went to a birthday party, and I did a Zoom presentation for some guys with the Long Island CW Club, and then Larry arrived. So that's kind of been, and I cleaned up a little bit. So, but both your rigs sound good, Steve. But the AF67 just does sound a little brighter. So, and Mir, your GRC19 sounding good tonight as well. So here's Larry again. Maybe he's got some other comments.
Okay, W3LW again. Good to hear you fellows all there. You've got good signals all around, and they sometimes it's hard to decide who's the leader of the pack. But as long as there's not a lot of distortion or beeps and squallers, so I'm always quite happy with standard old ancient modulation. So thanks for letting me say a few words here, and we'll be around for a few more days whenever Brian kicks me out. So I'll give the mic back to him.
Yeah, Larry will be on our 4 p.m. net tomorrow afternoon as well, so that'll be good. And we're gonna pick a couple of projects, maybe one project, and mess with it tomorrow. So anyway, let's keep it going. Over to you, Tony. K4QE in the group, KN4R.
All right, very good. Yeah, Larry, I see you're from Glen Mills, Pennsylvania. I grew up in southern New Jersey, lived there for the first 42 years of my life, and I spent lots of time in southeastern Pennsylvania and in northern Delaware for the couple jobs that I had there. I have some friends that still live west of the city of Philadelphia, so I'm pretty familiar with the area that you come from. And so But glad you can make it with us here tonight, and I hope all you guys that are going to Hamcation enjoy yourselves. I'm not planning on going to Hamcation myself, although someday I hope to go at least once. I was going to go to Visalia this year and to Dayton, but I've canceled those trips mainly due to the fact that I want to be here for my wife since she recently had surgery. So I will be sticking around at home this year, but next year is a whole nother ball game. So there you go. All right. And I'm sorry I didn't say good evening to you, Gary, on my last transmission. So welcome aboard. Good to hear you tonight. Great signal here in Liberty, North Carolina. And Steve, Jim's call is KO4 Charlie Tango Mike, KO4 CTM. And John's even closer to him than I am, but I pass by Climax all the time. In fact, I'll be driving through there tomorrow morning when I go to meet the president of our astronomy club. So, all right, over to you, my air, WF2U from K4QE.
Roger, K4QE and the multitudes here. This is WF2U. Okay, very good, Tony. And there is a little QSB on you. Now, a comment. Steve, I said I can't see anything on the meter because of the meter size. There are only 10 dB divisions on the meter, on the carrier level meter. So like 3-4 dB is about the width of the needle. So I said I can't read it on the meter. And by the way, the meter is the same type as on the R390. And the 390A is the standard 2-inch square military meter. So it's exactly the same meter on the carrier level. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. So, except for that little bit difference in audio, I could barely tell the difference between your AF67 with the amp and the Valiant. It's just a little bit different audio. I did say, and I can't say one sounds really much better than the other. So they both sound good. What else? Tomorrow I still have some stuff to do for the XYL. I wanted to make sure that my Janssen G76 is working. I didn't have time yet this whole week. And I wanted to put that on the old Transnet. But if not, I'll probably just run the AF67. And by the way, Steve, regarding the squad control on the PMR7, it doesn't make any, it does not turn the AGC on or off because I use my PMR7 with the squad turned off all the time, and the S meter is working. The factory S meter is working totally normally. And the RFK control is working normally. So I don't think that the squelch is affecting anything. I don't like to use it and I don't want to use it, so it's just turned off all the time on mine. With that, by the way, Gary, your signal went up towards the end, like about halfway through your transmission and you were moving in here. So it's just a matter of conditions. Cliff, I guess Well, let's see if you're back from your phone call or not. The WB4NKL, WF to you.
Cliff, are you back yet? Okay, I guess not. Go ahead, John.
Okie doke. W4JPL here in Liberty, North Carolina. 38 degrees, the temperature is continuing to drop down here. As far as Jersey Mike's is concerned, we went there a week or two ago, and it's much better than Subway, but Maggie and I went there and we got 2 regular sandwiches, 2 drinks, and 2 tiny, tiny chips. It was like $27, $28. I said, you know what? For that kind of money, I could go buy a whole thing of rolls and all kinds of lunch meat and put as much on it as I want and put what I want on it, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper. So I just didn't think it was good value for the money. So yeah, anything's better than Subway. You know, they'll put 1 slice of meat and one slice of cheese, and then they just want to load you up on lettuce. I don't want a salad. I want a sandwich. I want a manwich. So that's what's going on with that for me. Fellas, I'm going to jump out of here. It's been a very long day. I actually didn't sleep so great last night. I've been up since about 3:30 this morning. And non-stop, go, go, go. Never even got my nap, even though Cliff doesn't take naps. I heard him say the other night. 73, God bless. I'll catch up with you fellers tomorrow. K3OS and the group, W4JPL, 73.
Hi, John. 73 to you. We're talking to you again. And I'll be right here for a couple more rounds here. Oh, Tony and Larry. Yeah, good to talk to you. Tony, I think we've talked before. Larry, I know we haven't. Just to set the record straight, I'm originally from northwestern Pennsylvania, a little town called Warren. So, about 60 miles from Erie, 90 miles south of Buffalo, New York, right near the New York state line. So, obviously, I haven't been there in quite some time. Not much happened, and from last time I went up to the 50th high school reunion, and maybe I'll go to the 60th. I don't know. We shall see. I will see how we go. Getting on, I just played with the PMR7 here while we were listening, based on comments, and I'm not sure. I can tell you that when you click the squelch control off, if you will, the receiver volume comes up as if you will, as if the AVC was gone. So I tend to lean towards Steve, towards your thing that you get a little bit more AVC action with that thing right at the click, just right off the click. Yeah, I changed the one electrolytic in there. I rebuilt it. I restuffed it because that was causing me problems with the squelch control. Right now, it's been that fixed the problem. I think it was just the cathode cap on the audio stage that was the kicker, and once I stopped that, got that squared away, things were fat and happy here. So anyway, that's what that is. But right now I've got it set so that it's just right off the click. RF gain is up pretty full, and I think the quieting, if you will, for lack of a better word, I hate to use that FM terminology, but I think it's a little bit better. So over to you. Good seeing you this afternoon. Again, thanks for your assistance. I'm going to measure that pot in that 720 tomorrow, and I'll let you know kind of how much current is actually passing through that whole thing. N4LQ K3OS.
Okay, and we'll check one more time to see if Cliff is back. WB4NKL N4LQ.
Yes, WB4NKL. I hadn't caught much what was going on, but I'm back.
Well, about the only thing going back and forth is this squelch AVC conversation about the PMR7 and what the squelch control has an off-on switch on it, And if you turn it off, you can hear the background noise come up, and the RF gain starts to function quite abruptly. And if you got it turned up too high, of course, the BFO can't be heard. So it acts just like you're turning off the AVC. And Mir mentioned that his S meter, he's got an external S meter. It still works. However, I don't think that's relevant because it doesn't run off the AVC. I think it's running off a balanced circuit between a couple of cathodes and the IF or something. You know, it's not the modern type of detection of AVC. So I think that's the difference there. But the manual you can read through the manual in high detail and you can't figure a thing out. It doesn't really explain it. And there's nothing labeled AVC off or on, so I think that's what that switch does. So anyway, that and let's see, you mentioned what's his name coming to pick up the what's his name, Paul, is that it? Picked up a Challenger, but I think you meant Navigator. Over.
Yeah, I get those two confused. Navigator with the wiggly meter. Yeah, he come up and stayed a while, and nice guy, Bob is his name, from Athens, Georgia. I think he's been on the old Friends net, and I think maybe you'd talk to him somewhere. But you might listen around for him on the Challenger. I don't do much CW, or don't do any CW, but I know you still do some, Steve. And yeah, I was always under the assumption that off position was AVC off, but I never did read it in the manual, but that was my assumption that click was AVC off, because if you had a strong station on, you clicked there, it overloaded. So, and I never did look at the schematic that close, but I've never seen a AM squelch that, you know, they work, but not like an FM squelch where you got a limiter and everything. So yeah, it's I'm pretty sure that's an AVC off, even though it looks like they would have mentioned that in the manual. It's WB4NKL.
Okay, well, my 7610 and the 7300 both have squelch, and I don't have any use for it at all on AM or anything else for that matter. So yeah, I'll listen for him on CW. So I've done a little CW the last couple of days and thoroughly enjoyed that. And okay, well, that's all I can figure. It's just a way of turning the AVC off without actually telling you that you're doing so. It seems like maybe if they would have just put that on the BFO switch. I've seen that before. Turn the BFO on, the AVC goes off. But no, I think they had trouble trying to figure out what to do with things. And the injection control, you know, on CW, the thing is just not too good on CW reception anyway. It's not really, I mean, it's a strain trying to use it, so you might as well just use anything, I guess. Let's see, John mentioned 73 to you, John, and mentioned Subway, and well, just for the record, we're going there tomorrow, but not to get sandwiches. We're going to go somewhere else and get our sandwiches. And she got an ad in the junk mail. It actually came in the mail, and she saw it. And on there is their new foot-long chocolate chip cookie. And so now she has to have that, but she is sharing half of that with me. So tomorrow I will get half of a foot-long cookie, I guess. Let's see, what else do we have? And I guess that's about it. And we'll find on the Zoom thing there, Brian. Man, I have been seeing so much news about this Amelia Earhart airplane that this guy discovered. He's really making hay about that. It's all over the country. Everywhere I look at news, I see that mentioned, and there's always a question mark at the end. Could this be the Amelia's airplane? I'm like, I don't think so. Why don't you ask Brian? KN4R, N4LQ.
Okay, very good. N4LQ in the group, KN4R. Yep, I think he's trying to justify the $11 million he just spent on that deep water search, Steve, and also trying to set the stage for a follow-up with an AUV that has a camera, hopefully this time. But I think he's going to find a swept wing fighter of some sort, maybe a Russian or one of ours or something. So, but we'll see. But it is pretty interesting. But I know Rick Gillespie of Tiger, who's he's the guy I believe in. He's the one that says he thinks they made it to Gardner Island and died there as castaways after transmitting for a couple of days and that kind of thing. He's really kind of pissed because all the news outlets are picking this up, but they're not going out looking for experts to, or at least they weren't at first, to kind of counter the comments. But I think he's in the loop now with a lot of them. So he'd love to have another expedition out that way too. He's just got to find somebody with a few $1 million. So. Larry, you got anything else to say? I was sitting there about to fall asleep, and I think Larry is too. So I got up this morning for the old military radio net, and it was a really good net. We had like 35 people check in. I had by far the smallest rig on the air with my GRC9 this morning. Everybody else was running T368s and GPT 750s and all this, BC610s, ART13s. So anyway, I've enjoyed it, and Larry and I will see you guys tomorrow at 4 o'clock, hopefully for the 3715 old Fritz net. So Steve, thanks for calling the net, and 73s, and over to you, Tony. K4QE in the group, KN4R.
All right, thank you, Brian. And, I think I'm going to slip out of here myself. It's been a pleasure, as always, gentlemen. And Larry, again, great to hear you. And hope you'll once you return home, maybe you can join us from home. So, anyway, good night to everyone. This is K4QE signing off. Over to you, Mayor.
Yeah, Roger. K4QE. And the net, this is WFTU. Yeah, 73, Tony. Have a good night. I guess we'll talk to you tomorrow. And, that will be my 73 also. I want to go in early. Let the dogs out. I have a few little things to do in the house. And, anyway, well, okay, I have to go over the schematics of the PMR7 and the S-meter circuit, the factory S-meter circuit, see what's going on. But I don't see any difference when I turn off the squelch. What else did I want to say? So it was good to hear you, Larry. And have a good time with Brian there, and then have a good trip to Georgia. And let's see, Cliff, it was good to hear you. You have a good signal. John and Gary, depending on conditions, you had a lot of both of you had a lot of QSB, but basically 100% copy, no problems. So 73 all, Steve, thanks for running the net. I'll wait until the official dismissal here, listening, but good night, everybody, and I'll be on the old Friends Net tomorrow at 4 p.m. So, Cliff, go ahead. WB4NKL, this is WFTU 73.
WF2U, it's WB4NKL. Okay, Mayor. Good copy. talking about those receivers, Steve, I've played around with the LMAX and the Morrows and Gonsets, and my pick of the receiver for sideband, that Gonset is hard to beat. Of course, they're not used for sideband that much, but it amazed me that last one I got going and let Mark have it don't have a product detector, but the volume control and RF control is a dual pot when you go to sideband, and when you crank it down, it automatically, turns the RF gain down with the audio gain, and the stability of that oscillator. I was playing with that and tuned in a sideband station, and it sat there for 30 minutes without having to retune, and you don't see that too often in any of those receivers, and it sounded great. So they did a good job not having a product detector to get that thing to work that good on sideband. So I'll say 73s too, and probably catch you tomorrow on the Old Friends net, if not somewhere before. N4LQ, WB4NKL.
Yeah, okay. Well, I got the Gonset. You're talking about the G77 Chrome job, right?
Yeah, I think it's a 66, a receiver.
Yeah, 66, yeah. I got that off the shelf. I believe it was day before yesterday, and I thought, I need to get this thing going. So I took it out of the case, and first time I looked at it and looked it over good, and I figured all it needs is B+ and filament. There wasn't anything special about that. It's pretty simple. So I can do that, but there's some capacitors that obviously, one of those bumblebees was cracked wide open, so it's going to have to go. It's probably bad, and there's a little board there back there where the power jack is. It's got several of those lined up, big fat bumblebees or whatever they are, and so I'll probably change those, give it a try and see how it sounds. I think the speaker jack or the headphone jack is I think it comes out off the plate through a capacitor at real high impedance, so I have to wire that in there too, to the jack on the back. But I don't think there's any way to find the right jack to fit that crazy plug on the back, so I'll just have to hardwire it, I guess, or put some kind of pins on it, or some kind of jerry rig of some sort. Okay, guess that's about it. Mir, 73s to you, and Tony and Brian and Larry, and you all have fun tomorrow. And Gary, if you're still listening, have a great day, and hope to see everybody tomorrow at 4 o'clock on 3715. This is N4LQ closing the net.